Today I'm going to show you how to do mattress stitch on a horizontal seam, like a shoulder seam, for example. And I'm going to use a contrasting piece of yarn. You would normally sew up in the yarn that you've used to knit with, unless it's a fragile yarn, in which case you'd use something stronger that coordinates. It's fairly invisible once you've finished, so it kind of doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm using this so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm also using a needle with a bent tip, and it's blunt. This makes it the easiest for picking up the strands and not piercing the yarn, because that's very important that you don't pierce the yarn when you're doing mattress stitch. I'm also using a unattached piece of yarn. That's the biggest tip I can give you with mattress stitch. Do not use your tails. Use an unattached, free piece of yarn. I know it's more sewing in at the end, but let me tell you, it is the most useful thing to have both ends usable. So I'm starting on the right-hand side. That's just my preference. Doesn't really matter. I'm skipping the first two strands and I'm going under the next two strands. Then I'll come over to this side and I'm going to skip the first three strands and go under the next two. So 1, 2, 3, and then under those two. I come back and insert the needle where the yarn came out and go under another two strands. Back over to this side where the yarn came out and under two strands. So on this side, I'm going under the V of a column of stitches. So this is the direction of knitting, and this is a full stitch. So I'm taking that here. On this side, this is my column of stitches, and that's the next column of stitches. And I'm going halfway through a stitch to halfway through a stitch. This is because mattress stitch is a stepwise kind of stitch, and so each side needs to be half a stitch out in order for them to line up. So I'm just stitching a few stitches here, and you can see that I'm leaving it quite loose. So I'm just going to do one more. That's it. And I'll show you how to tighten it. So you wouldn't be able to do this if this was your tail, but I can hold both ends and just pull. And you can see that it's completely disappeared. You can't see the silver any longer. And you pull it until it travels through. Now, if you've happened to catch the yarn at any point, it's not going to pull through as easily, and that can be quite a problem. So it pulls through, lovely. And it looks so neat, and each column of stitches is meeting beautifully. So now to keep going, you just give it a wiggle, loosen up this end one, and now you can see where the needle needs to go in. And same over on this side. Now you might be wondering what on earth I'm going to do with this end. So the edge stitches are a bit distorted. They're a bit hard to read what is a stitch. So I like to start in a little bit, and I find it so much easier to approach the edge stitches from the inside. So I'm now going to just thread this end onto my needle, and I can sew in this direction. So we'll go under the two strands here, back in where we came out, and under the two strands, and that leaves me right on the edge. back in and just go all the way through. And that is a beautiful edge, and it's matching. And you'll also notice that I haven't sewn in my ends yet. The ends are absolutely the last thing you do. If you were to sew them in now, you might misread them as a strand that you need to skip, and that's just annoying, and you can't sew up properly when these are in the way. Leave them to the last thing. So you'll notice that it's not particularly tight. So you pull it tight and then give it a wiggle, and you want it to be a similar tension to the rest of the garment. You don't want tight seams. And then if everything has gone pear-shaped, it's not lining up, you're not happy with it, whatever the case is, because you've got this free end, you can just pull it all the way through and it's gone. It's that easy. So my big tip for today, use an unattached piece of yarn.